Today on CityCast Nashville, it's time for our Friday News Roundup. I'm joined by our executive producer, Whitney Pasterek, and CityCast Nashville contributor, Nicole Williams. We made the local news this week. We'll tell you why. Plus, bombshells at the mayor's office and the fair board, what all middle schools in Davidson County will soon be getting, and of course, we'll end on a little good news. It's Friday, September 26th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. So apparently people are talking about us. That's right. CityCast Nashville made the local news this week. And y'all, we are not mad about it. This past Monday night, WKRN featured a story about our recent podcast episode with District 16 council member Jenny Welsh. She joined us on our show to discuss her attempts to rezone her district to allow for more residential density as a way to address our city's housing crisis. Y'all, if you have not listened, we highly recommend you tune into that episode. Some of her comments on our show upset some of her constituents who reached out to both WKRN and to us to share their perspective.
Here at CityCast Nashville, we want to include everyone's voices in the conversation. And so we're excited to say that we've officially invited these District 16 residents on our show for an episode alongside Councilmember Rollin Horton, who successfully upzoned the nations last month. That'll air later this month, so keep an ear out for that. Should be a robust discussion, and we're looking forward to it.
And then a quick update. In that same episode with Welsh, she told us about her request for an internal audit of the Office of Homeless Services due to financial irregularities. That audit was approved this week, and we will, of course, keep you updated on this developing story. So moving on to the biggest Metro news of the week, Chief Development Officer and former at-large council member Bob Mendez is stepping down at the end of October, becoming the second high-ranking member of Mayor Freddie O'Connell's administration to depart in the past few weeks. Former Chief of Staff Marjorie Pomeroy Wallace also left earlier this month. Nicole, I know you and Whitney are both real-life friends with Bob, but I'm going to give you a chance to still say some nice things about him anyway and help us understand why he might be leaving.
This is a blow for me personally because I think that Bob has done such incredible work for the city over the past 10 years of public service. He was a champion for marginalized communities on the council. He fought to ensure that we're bringing in enough tax revenue to make our city function. As the mayor's chief development officer, has really worked to make sure that Metro is getting the best deal possible when it comes to the development of the East Bank and the land around the Titans Stadium. Just the fact that he was willing to go work in the mayor's office, which is not an unstressful situation, and be yelled at and about by House Speaker Cameron Sexton constantly is a testament to how much he cares about the future of our city.
I mean, Bob's pulled off some truly incredible stuff. He's the reason why we have 99 years of affordable housing on the East Bank. That was the first thing he did with that development deal for Nashville's next great neighborhood. I also, even though I know a lot of people were in favor of building a new Titans Stadium, something I appreciated about then Councilmember Mendez through that whole process was he wasn't just in opposition of it. He did the work. If you read his blog during the battle for whether we were going to finance the stadium or not, he was the one pulling the numbers and making really sound fiscal arguments for why this might not be a good deal for Nashville. And I appreciated how level-headed it was. I think a lot of times things just turn into sort of personal ad hominems, but Bob is always there with the math. And as someone who can't do math, I just respect him so, so much, while also just appreciating how consistent he's been. As Nicole mentioned, Sexton is accusing him of hindering the Oracle deal. And he's definitely made allegations that Bob Mendez is the reason why there's not a deal for the Tennessee Performing Arts Center on the East Bank yet. But Bob has not fired back. He's not gotten into any sort of back and forth with that. He's just steadily been continuing to do his work. So I agree, it is totally a blow for Nashville. And Nicole, I'm wondering, does this have anything to do with anything that's coming down the pike? Like, what's your gut telling you?
I don't know. And I don't think we have enough information to make that assessment. You know, there's been some speculation on social media about a possible racetrack deal.
Did you say racetrack deal?
I did say racetrack deal.
Interesting. Marie, wasn't there something about the racetrack in the news this week?
Why, yes, there was, Whitney. A complaint has been filed with the Board of Ethical Conduct alleging that Fair Board Chair Jasper Hendricks has been getting some incentives to push the proposed partnership between the city and Bristol Motor Speedway, who wants to expand their existing fairgrounds racetrack to bring NASCAR to the center of Nashville. So the complaint alleges that Hendricks has received benefits like free tickets to a NASCAR gala, as well as contributions to his unsuccessful Metro Council campaign in District 19 from Bristol and the racing company's lobbyists.
Nicole, have you seen the complaint?
I have seen the complaint. I've read the complaint. It never ceases to amaze me the amount of things that public officials will put in writing that are relatively damning.
So let's get into what's in here.
Yeah.
We do have the PDF of the complaint, and there's some really kind of concerning allegations in here, specifically that Hendricks hasn't just been getting fun perks like tickets to galas, but also that in his role as a representative of Nashville taxpayers, he's been essentially colluding with Bristol to craft messaging that disregards local groups who've been pitching alternative uses for that fairgrounds racetrack space, like housing or a park. The complaint also alleges that the recent quote unquote announcement about a NASCAR deal being close to complete is something that Hendricks and Bristol negotiated outside of the fair board itself, and that Hendricks is the one who leaked this so-called deal to Fox 17's Scott Couch, who first reported the news. And I just would like to note that Hendricks regularly appears on Scott Couch's weekly political roundtable show, Nashville in Focus. Full disclosure, I have also appeared on the show with both of those gentlemen. But the more important part here is that this deal, which a bunch of outlets, including ours, cited as something that might actually be happening, came as a surprise to the rest of the fair board. The complaint states that neither the New Deal nor the New Deal term sheet had been previously communicated to other Fair Board members nor discussed in public view. And according to the complaint, whether or not the rest of the board knew about it, it goes against the standards of conduct to release confidential information to the press.
I would watch this reality show. This feels like NASCAR or not.
The Board of Ethical Conduct is really putting in some work lately.
Yeah.
I will say. Another thing I noticed in the complaint that really was disturbing to me, there are some screenshots of text messages that were allegedly exchanged between Jasper Hendricks and Matthew Kuhn, who is a lobbyist for Bristol Motor Speedway. Essentially, the lobbyist offering Jasper talking points for the press about how to respond to stories on the deal. I am a member of a Metro board. I know Whitney is a member of a Metro commission. I personally cannot imagine feeling like it would be okay to consult with a lobbyist who had business before my board on talking points in the event of a press inquiry. Like, in what universe is that acceptable?
Well, it's interesting that we've already talked about the old battle for the new stadium, though, Nicole, because that was another scenario where lobbyists were providing talking points to council members.
I also see a difference between a council member talking to a lobbyist and a board member talking to a lobbyist. Council members are elected, so their actions get judged by the voters. If a voter doesn't feel like that was appropriate, then when that council member runs for office or a higher office, they may lose. The Metro Council office has stressed to council members in the past who have attempted to remove board and commission members. They've said that the bar for doing that is very high. And so when you have board and commission members doing things like this that feel icky, that would feel icky if it were a council member, there is no recourse for the voters. on Jasper Hendricks being the Fair Board chair. And there's very little recourse for the council that approved his appointment. He was a nominee, I believe, of John Cooper.
Former mayor.
This was around the time when there was a flurry of nominations, some of which got voted down because there was a desire among some of the council members for representatives from the Hispanic and Latino community on the Fair Board. And I think that Jasper Hendricks' nomination sort of came out of that as Cooper was like, well, he's a minority, so that should work, right?
Yes, I remember all of this. Oh, take me away, Calgon.
I just think having these things just presented in writing is always disheartening. And if he did accept those tickets to the NASCAR event, and if he did not pay for them, then that would most certainly be a violation of the standards of conduct. You literally cannot accept something of value over a certain dollar amount.
Honestly, as a commission member, if there was somebody coming before our commission with a complaint or something, and they also invited me to their party, I would probably think twice before going to that party.
Yeah.
And being like, having the best time here with my best friends who I'm supposed to be neutral about at work.
Yeah.
Hendricks did give a statement to the Tennessean saying, quote, "The ethics allegations filed against me are baseless and rely on speculation, not facts." Just a reminder to everybody that this statement is less exciting than the statements given by the last person who had to go before the Board of Ethical Conduct, and that's Councilmember Joy Smith-Kimbrough. So we would like to ask Mr. Hendricks kindly to just give more interesting statements.
All right, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to dig into two more big stories from around the city this week where the news just keeps on newsing.
Oh, I love living here.
Learning a new language opens the door to new friends, new cultures, maybe even a whole new life. So why not start that journey today? I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and I'm learning Spanish with Babbel. Babbel's conversation-based technique quickly teaches you useful words and phrases about the things you actually talk about in the real world. I've been practicing my Spanish with Babbel's AI conversation partner. I can choose my conversation topic and have a real-time dialogue. It's great at helping me think on my feet, and it's improving my pronunciation. Also, it's really easy to do anytime on my phone using Babbel's excellent mobile app. It's just one of the many fantastic Babbel tools for learning. Plus, Babbel has a real-time feedback, progress trackers, and handy visualizations, all of which make it really easy to stay motivated to learn. I want you to learn another language. So CityCast is teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Babbel.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
And we're back. Back in 2023, the Republican-controlled Tennessee legislature passed a law that would cut Nashville's Metro Council size from 40 to 20 members. This is probably a violation of home rule, and it's been rolling through the courts ever since. This week, Metro Legal got the Tennessee Supreme Court to agree to hear the case. Nicole, our next Metro election is in 2027. Do you know if this will be resolved by then?
I have no idea whether it will be. I would think that the Supreme Court would want to resolve it relatively quickly so that we're not in another sort of last minute having to redraw districts and rethink our entire electoral setup in Nashville.
Because that's how we kind of got the initial stay of this, was that all of this happened too close to the upcoming 2023 election. And so they said, okay, you don't have to do it this time, but maybe next time. And now we're back in that place where we're inching up to that boundary again of like, it's too close.
I mean, typically redistricting, which we usually do once every 10 years with the census, it takes at least a year. I mean, it takes a lot of hard work by the folks at planning and a lot of consideration by the council in order to decide on new maps. So we need time to get this done right.
All right, let's dig into some education news. We know Nicole would like to talk about this. So this past Tuesday, the Metro Board of Education voted unanimously to expand the Evolve weapons detection systems. So that's currently in all of our high schools, but this would expand it to all middle schools. The Nashville Banner reported that while the vote was ultimately unanimous, discussion lasted about 45 minutes. 2 student board members were very vocal about their objections to the plan. Apparently, they reflected on their own experiences moving through these machines and then voiced their concerns for the younger students having to be subjected to this every day. Nicole, how does this all sit with you?
It doesn't sit well. I've been thinking about this and fuming about this since I read this piece in the Nashville Banner and looked at the debate and how it went down. Like you mentioned, the student members of the school board voiced concerns about this. There are 2 of them. They cannot vote. They're essentially there to be the voice of MNPS students. And they were clear and unequivocal in saying, we need to slow down and think about whether this is the right choice for middle schools in Davidson County. And their concerns were dismissed 100% by every single board member, by Superintendent Dr. Battle. Dr. Battle said their, quote, middle school experience might be a little different from the middle school experience today, and that it's important for us to be responsive to that being the middle school experience today. These kids are like juniors and seniors, so they went to middle school a few years ago. Let's talk about how every single board member went to middle school decades ago. So if we're going to have student board members, what's the point? Are they just there to say, like, when we agree, when the board members, the voting members agree with what the students say, they can say, we listen to the students' concerns and we are acting on behalf of the students. When they don't agree, they can say, the students don't really know what they're talking about.
I want to go back to this comment by Dr. Battle, though. What is she saying? That somehow in the past 3 years, like junior highs have become battlefields, like they're hardened criminals in there now. And so they should have to walk through metal detectors like the high school kids do. Is that what she seems to be implying?
Well, and these weapons detection systems are not even metal detectors. They're powered using AI. The Federal Trade Commission took action against the company just last year for deceiving users about its AI-powered security screening systems. These students talked about how almost like scary it can be to go through these readers when you go to school. One student said it could be intimidating to encounter the detection system for the first time, and that students sometimes get yelled at for not having their laptop out of their bag or not doing it correctly.
They're going through TSA on their way to school.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what it does to a child's psyche.
So, Marie, I can guess what you're going to say, but I want to ask you this question. If you were in charge of keeping middle schools in the Metro Nashville Public School District safe, what would you do?
I don't think that I would put airport tight security to start. I don't know. I think that that's where we're at, is that we are scrambling and trying to figure out how to protect these children because gun violence and political violence, all that stuff is on the rise. So something has to happen. But there have been so many studies about how these types of security systems affect children in the long run and make them feel like criminals. And so once you are being assumed a criminal
at 11,
and then you go into at 11 years old and then move through society that way, how harmful it is for them in the future. They're setting them up for failure, and it's heartbreaking. So I don't know the answer, but I don't think that this is it. And especially when you have students saying this is not the answer, we have to be listening to these children.
At least taking a beat to consider whether there is another option.
Right. These are Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Right.
One board member said, Abigail Tyler, she was saying, we can't get common sense gun safety measures at the state and federal level. So, quote, we can only respond to the societal changes around us by what we have control over. I hate that we have to harden our schools because it is the absolute antithesis of what we should be doing with our schools. We should be having open, welcoming places where our students feel safe and loved. Board member Tyler, voted in favor of putting evolved weapons detection systems at every middle school in Metro Nashville public school system.
I suspect that this is the beginning of what will be a new uptick in the cycle of surveillance technology conversations here in Nashville. Fusus was defeated temporarily. License plate readers are still lingering out there. Again, things that do feel a little bit like Band-Aids to address the world as it is while not tackling any of the problems at the root of everything. I can tell you that if I had an 11-year-old right now, I would not want my kid getting surveilled every single morning. But anyway, let's move on to something that we really wanted to put in good news this week, but didn't because that might seem tacky. Former Tennessee House Speaker Glenn Cassida was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison this week, fined $30,000, and given 1 year of supervised release for his role in the Phoenix Solutions corruption scheme. For those unfamiliar, and I'm not going to mention the hot chicken restaurant this time, the scheme involved Cassida, his aide, Cade Cothran, and former state representative Robin Smith, funneling state funds to Cothran's consulting business. Cassida is expected to surrender to prison by November 21st, but his attorneys plan to appeal the court's decision and continue proclaiming his innocence. Last week, Cothran was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. He's also going to appeal. It's amazing who can keep themselves out of prison and who gets tossed into unmarked vans without a trial in our country these days. Let's go to a break.
Da-da-da-da. Good news!
Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air this week after Disney ended his indefinite suspension.
Wait, but you can't watch.
Oh, you're right. Womp womp. You can't watch
You
it,
can
but you
on
can.
YouTube.
Our ABC affiliate WKRN is owned by media conglomerate Nexstar, who, along with Sinclair Broadcasting, which owns our Fox station, has decided to keep preempting the show. Our city did get a shout out during Kimmel's 28-minute monologue on Tuesday, which you can go see on YouTube, where as of this morning, the video is close to having 20 million views. His Tuesday show also got over 6 million viewers on actual TV, according to preliminary Nielsen data that does not include streaming. And for context, usually the Jimmy Kimmel Show averages around 1.6 million viewers.
I mean, those are crazy numbers, especially given that two huge owners of local stations are not broadcasting the show.
I'll just tell my favorite Jimmy Kimmel story ever, and then we'll move on to the next thing. I got to go to the show several times when I was working in the entertainment business out in LA. And one time I was in the green room and Ron Jeremy, famous porn star Ron Jeremy, was just there.
Huge fan.
He was just there. He was just hanging out in the corner. And I don't know what that says about anything, but Jimmy Kimmel Show is someplace where I and Ron Jeremy inhabited the same space for a night.
Well, tonight, folks, is the final Musicians Corner of the year, and Parker Millsap is headlining along with Michaela Ann. And we have been enjoying being a sponsor of Musicians Corner this year. And so, again, folks, come on out.
Yeah, get out
and
there.
Enjoy.
It's free. And then what did we do yesterday, Marie?
Oh, well, you and I had the joy of attending Stranger Brews pop-up at East Nashville Beer Works. It kicked off yesterday, September 25th. Guests can expect to step into the world of Hawkins and the Upside Down with nostalgic decor. This runs now through November 2nd, so check it out. It's very spooky.
Nicole, did you watch Stranger Things?
Yes, I did.
Well, you might actually enjoy this then. To me, a non-watcher of Stranger Things, none of it makes a damn bit of sense. But I can tell they really went all in, you know? If anybody went to their Home Alone pop-up over Christmas, it's that same sort of immersive situation. It's pretty cute. And they have a bologna sandwich that absolutely slams. What else to do this weekend? Tomorrow night, I'll be watching Nashville SC take on the Houston Dynamo. This is a big match for our boys in gold. A win could secure their spot in the playoffs, which I need them to do because as a Houstonian, the Houston Astros have completely collapsed here at the end of the season. And I need one of the teams I love to make it to the playoffs. And yes, I will be rooting for Nashville SC, not the Houston Dynamo. I don't know those people.
And there's so many festivals this weekend, y'all. There's the Nashville Fall Festival. There's the Nashville Greek Festival, which is my absolute favorite thing to attend. I've been doing it for decades now, so please check that out. Kidsville at Centennial Park. There's Artsville at the Walk of Fame Park downtown.
And if you want to drive to Franklin, it's Pilgrimage, the Pilgrimage Music and Cultural Festival with headliners John Mayer and Kings of Leon. And then, hey, Nicole, do you have any messages for the voters in the Tennessee 7th Congressional District?
Vote.
That's correct. Turnout is
Do
way
it.
down. Hey, early voting's open now through October 2nd. Why not use this weekend to get her done?
And tonight, you can come hang out with us, CityCast Nashville, at Fridays by the River. The headlining band is, well, the only band playing. The band playing tonight is Low Ground. And we have food trucks Bangkok Belly, which, y'all, we had the pad thai last week and it was outstanding.
It's the
So
real
come on
deal.
out.
But bring a blankie because you're going to want to take a nap.
You're going to want to take a nap. And also I made 3 meals out of it too.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So much, so many noodles. Anyway, Nicoletto's, Lady Dogs, Magmile Pizza, and King of Pops will be there. It's such a good time.
Come hang out.
Come drink beer with us.
Nicole,
It's so
do
fun.
you have any good news for us this week? It doesn't have to be what you're doing this weekend because we already know the answer to that question. But did anything really good happen in your world that you want to shout out?
I went to the Opry Mills Mall with my girlfriend on Wednesday.
How was that?
It was delightful.
Really?
Where'd you go? What'd you do?
We just walked around the mall. We went to the Crocs store. She got a bunch of giblets, giblets, whatever they're called.
To put
Is
on
that
the
the
Crocs?
things that you stick in the holes?
Yes, on the
That
Crocs.
sounded funny.
Yeah. They're the little charms for your Crocs.
Charms.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it busy?
It was not busy because it was a Wednesday afternoon. And yeah, we had a nice little leisurely mall walk. It's a cool place. They got lots of shops there.
Well, as someone who saw the Opryland documentary that screened this past week at the Nashville Film Festival, there were people booing at the screen when they said, obviously they were taking down the theme park to make Opry Mills Mall. So a lot of people don't like that mall.
Well, what can you do?
You can go to the Croc store and get those.
What
Charms.
What if they put, okay, so it's like a circle, right? When you're walking
Yeah.
around. Is there
Yeah.
no way that we could just put a roller coaster track going in that circle?
That's
Like
a
down
great
the middle?
idea.
You heard it here first.
You're welcome, Nashville. Hey, everybody, have a great
going.
weekend. Take care of each other.
Yay.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Nashville neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We have 2 new neighbors. Welcome to the neighborhood, Jenny P. and Sean S. Thank you all so much for joining our membership program. Can't wait to meet you in person. Again, I am your host, Marie Cecile Anderson. Our executive producer is Whitney Pasterek. Our producer is Daniel Sumstein. Our Hey Nashville newsletter editor is Margaret Kingsbury, with extra support this week from Natalia Aldana. Our theme music is by Prof Jenkins, with additional music by Hip Color, courtesy of epidemicsound.com. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell your friends? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Doodles.